I get it. You're winning. And I know Jalen Hurts, he talks in these parables, and he's like, if the sun jumps over the moon, then, we'll be good too. And it's like, at some point, we just got to, go play real football. Like, you just got to, you know what I mean? All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the B Team. We got Mikey over there. We got Muller over here. Mike, NFL week number 12 was shocking, impressive, downright bad at times. We had some electric football happening from Jameis Winston. We had some of the worst possible football coming out of Philadelphia and the Cowboys over both halves. I mean, a lot of good games. Monday night was probably horrible, but fun, frisky. It was a really interesting week, NFL Week 12. I know you only saw some of the main broadcasted games because we were on the trains, but what were your initial thoughts after this week?
I'll start off with this. I mean, besides the mortals, which we'll get into, like I had a very bad week. There was a lot of in terms of spread picking and whatnot, there were a lot of favorites that just did not cover by a half a point. I got absolutely screwed. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of teams were hanging around in a way. Like all these favorites, they just didn't take care of business. I mean, they did. At the end of the day, they got the win. But they're kind of just letting them hang around. The Bengals are hanging around with the Patriots. Patriots should never let that happen. That defense was playing well. Obviously, the Lions, you got to give credit to Jameis Winston. He had an absolutely great day. The Seahawks, letting the Titans hang around late. It's just a weird, just one of those weird weeks, It's one of those dog weeks. They're kind of playing for something. I don't know. But interesting. I mean, a lot of fun things did happen. I know you called I kind of want to jump right into it. This is going to be the most important part of this episode is, dude, you called that Cowboys game.
I did.
That's what I was going to start out with because we watched those. Everyone watched those clips on the story. I'm like, oh man, Muller really called this to a T. And I think
I almost got the score right.
I know that was. You did almost predict that right. That was correct. That was one of the more fascinating games to watch throughout the week. Or on Sunday, the Bears Steelers was another good game. Steelers are really just falling off at this point. That's all it took. It's all it took. But I don't know where you want to start. But yeah, just definitely a weird week, but fun. A lot of good plays. A lot of good showings. The Bucks, they're another team like. They're kind of trending downwards now. Obviously, Baker getting hurt. They're putting up a fight, but not this Sunday. It's kind of catching up to them big time. So,
yeah, the injuries for sure.
They got a lot to figure out soon because I think they're now 6-5. They are holding the top spot in that division still with Carolina's loss. But that division's really coming down to the wire with, funny enough, Carolina and Tampa. So
yeah, no, and I. Yeah, and I want to jump right into this week here. Before we get into any of the important stuff, because I want to get into the Cowboys and the Eagles. I want to get into the playoff race. I want to get into the NFC North, the where the Bucks are at. But I want to start off with thanking Jameis Winston for being alive during my lifetime. This dude, it sounds like it's going to be his last week as a starter this week. Sounds like Jackson Dart's going to be back. Jameis Winston is an electric factory. You get it all with him. You get the interceptions. You get the craziness. You get the celebrations. I mean, hell, he might have scored, all things considered, and I think I posted this on our page. He might have scored the most impressive and greatest touchdown in NFL history. The fact that So he flips the ball to the wide receiver who's coming around. That wide receiver, because the Giants' O-line is so bad, it just disintegrated. He had to avoid these pass rushers and throw on the run a back shoulder pass to Jameis Winston, who did a little check down, catches the ball, turns, jukes and stiff arms. I forget who was covering him at the time. stiff arms him, gets into the end zone. I mean, that's got to, when we look back in history and we're like, what were the greatest touchdowns ever scored? That has to be in the top 10 solely because of the people that were involved.
Dude, I mean, that play by whoever, I don't know if it was Gunnar Shevsky. I think he's on another team, but number 80 to avoid the pass rush and throw pretty much on the run to Jameis, who also made a very good catch. And that run after catch was, no, I agree. I think that's one of the greatest quarterback receptions or receiving touchdowns I've ever seen in football, because he literally had a defender on him the whole time, stiff armed him, shook him off, got into the end zone at 32 years old. It's not like it was a swing pass. Dude was running a wheel route down the left sideline, and he made that catch with a defender pretty much on him. That was so impressive. I'll tell you what, man. Like we have fun with Jameis a lot over the years, just his personality and whatnot. But the dude could play. Like, he's literally a younger Joe Flacco, and I would not be surprised if you see this guy just hopping around teams, like kind of like Fitzpatrick, where they need someone. You know what you're gonna get. Hell, if the Jets don't like anyone in the draft quarterback wise, you got to go get a guy like Jameis. He's gonna air it out. He's gonna make you somewhat competitive.
Dude, Jameis Winston should be a starter in this league. At one point, he had 15 completions for like 350 yards. Like, that's impressive. That is super impressive. And I wanted to bring this up to you because I had a little bit of an idea. For his next contract, if no one picks him up to be a starter, it should be a contract with all 32 teams. If the starter goes down on any of those 32 teams, obviously the backup for that day goes in. But the next week, it's Jameis Winston starting for your football team. That we need to have him play every single week.
But this is yes, we do. But it's just it's too good for it's entertainment at its finest.
Yeah, but Mike, did you watch Teddy Bridgewater come into that game?
No.
Talk about someone looking so unathletic and unprepared to play in a football game. He was horrible. He looked very old. He looked washed. I don't understand how Kyle Trask was not thrown into that game after the first possession that Teddy Bridgewater played. Like, Jameis Winston should be in those situations. Like, we shouldn't have Teddy Bridgewater going in. We need Jameis Winston going in there.
Kyle Trask. I haven't heard that name since he's been drafted. And I think he was drafted by the Bucs. Wow.
He was.
That is good trivia to know, by the way. But this is why I love watching Jameis play. And he has that mentality of, I have nothing to lose and I'm going to give my team the best chance to win. What that consists of is him just airing it out and not giving an absolute FUCK. He doesn't care. But the thing is, as a fan, as a fan of the Jets or another team that doesn't really have a quarterback, look at the Cardinals, now with Jacoby Brissett. They're airing out the ball. They're actually playing in very close games. They almost won against the Jaguars. Watching Justin Fields play, I hate that I'm reverting this back to the Jets, but I think I said this, dude, Jameis would never be a bad option. I would never be opposed to it. And the way he's looking, I would take that any day. Just a guy who's going to air the ball, throw it downfield. If he throws 2 to 3 picks, fine. It's not like you're going into the year expecting that he's going to make you a playoff contender. He's going to keep it close, and he's going to be a great bridge quarterback for whoever's going to be the fill-in next. What the Giants did, and I got to give credit to Sheen here, after we shit-talked in the last 2 weeks, they bring in Dart, they bring in Russ, they bring in Jameis. They essentially have 3 starting caliber quarterbacks in this league. Russ didn't work out. They had Jackson Dart, who did work out, got injured. Jameis comes in and is making Wandale look like he looks like Amon-Ra out there. I mean, he's been fantastic, and that's who he's been ever since that year when he was with the Bucs. And I think he went 8-7, had the 30 for 30 year, iconic. Who cares? Again, it's not like you're gonna have expectation with him, but you could win football games. The Jets could use someone like that. Seriously, I would not be shocked if they did make a move for a guy like Jameis or a guy like Flacco, someone who is, or a Gardner Minshew. they got to get the ball downfield. And like Jameis is so perfect for that because he's not afraid. And like you need that in a quarterback. Brett Favre played like that. He wasn't afraid to make mistakes. He was not afraid to take risks. I feel like a lot of these quarterbacks nowadays, they're too scared to make the incorrect decision. They want to make the right play, like, oh, XYZ is all covered. Let me just throw it out to the check down, like they won't let a guy go up for it one-on-one, make a contested catch, Look at Dak and George Pickens. Honestly, one of the greater catches I've seen. And I got to give Pickens a lot of credit, man. He is damn good. He really.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, but I don't know. All in all, like it's nice to have a guy like that, as a backup to just go in there and start slinging the ball and almost beating the, playoff bound, Super Bowl bound Detroit Lions. So they did lose, but that's a hell of a game they played.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any positive for Giants fans, it's, your team's shown a lot of fight. There hasn't really been a game they weren't in this year, maybe one or two along the line, but there hasn't been a game where I watch it and I'm like, they have zero chance of winning this, right? They've been in every game. They've gone to overtime against some really good teams. They've taken teams to the last snap of the game many times. And, have they blown it every time? Yeah. But that's going to happen when, your coaching staff is basically in shambles. And now it's basically a full restart with the coaching staff this offseason for the Giants, which could be positive, could be negative. But their core is so good. I think that they're in a great spot. They're going to end up having a top 3 pick most likely. So they'll probably just upgrade that offense with that pick, and we're going to be looking at this team as a possible playoff contender going into next season. But do you have something else?
Yeah, I don't want to get off topic here, but I was actually looking at where the standings are, the tankathon for the draft, and I'm looking at a scenario where you could have a lot of these guys trading down. The Saints, they have their 2 quarterbacks. Are they going to go get one? The Titans, drafted Cam Ward. Are they going to go get one? Are they going to go get the best player available? It's a big defensive class, a lot of good edge rushers, but you could see a lot of trade downs. The Jets, what are they going to do? So it's going to be real interesting to see how they approach it, especially these losing teams, because Browns just won, Shador looked all right. They move up. Yeah, I don't want to get down the rabbit hole, but just a thought.
No, definitely. And I mean, we spoke about this last week, how important it was for Dallas to keep those 2 first-rounders. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a team that makes a move to get a little higher in the draft. Being that them in Green Bay, it's looking more and more likely that they're going to end up somewhere between 15 and 20 with both of those picks. I'd have to imagine they make a move to try and get up a little higher. But yeah, let's get into that team. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte, that defense, Quinnen Williams. What a comeback, historic comeback against the Philadelphia Eagles. It was so important for the Philadelphia Eagles to wear these Kelly greens for the first time on the road in 30 years. I'm so glad that they lost the way they did, the way they were talking coming into this game. I was very serious when I was talking to Eagles fans going into this game. They were worried about us. Eagles fans are like, oh, big one tonight. No, it wasn't a big one. It wasn't. Now it's become a big one because now we're actually back in this thing. But pre-game, this wasn't a big game for it was a pride game for the Cowboys, but I'm sitting here thinking we're probably going to lose, possibly by multiple touchdowns. I still have flashbacks of the defense of 3 weeks ago. This wasn't a game. And the fact that Philly is always concerned with the Dallas Cowboys, and rightfully so after watching that last game, it was awesome. Mike, I had a blast watching that game. And to give you just a look through the mirror here, through the lens of Colin Muller watching this football game, all right, the Wi-Fi goes out at the end of the first half. So this whole thing's blurry. I had to watch on my phone, plugged into I was in the corner laying down with my helmet on backwards, watching this game on my phone, losing my mind, right? So that's the pick. Eagles fans would have hated to see me coming in during that game. But that being said, Mike, I want to talk about this defense because right now I think everyone owes Jerry Jones a massive apology because at this point, after 2 weeks, Quinnen Williams has been a major success. The returns of Overshown and multiple others actually it's turned this whole defense around. I mean, we forced two fumbles, I believe. We were forcing the Eagles into 3 and outs, which I hadn't seen a 3 and out, since I don't know, week 2 it felt like. And to hold the Eagles offense to 0 points for 41 minutes of football, I mean, we're looking at a defense who went from 29th in the league, 30th in the league, and over the last 2 weeks they've ranked 11th. This is huge for the Dallas Cowboys moving down the last stretch of games here. And we'll get into the last stretch of games at the end of this conversation, of course. But, Mike, this defense, I'm so impressed with them. And I know you watched Quinnen Williams for years, but I can't overstate how important he has been for this defense the last 2 weeks.
And this is what, Jerry Jones' sacrifice was a guy like Micah, who's going to be a pass rusher and, good, obviously just a great player overall. But like when you have 2 guys up front in Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, look at Saquon, granted that, the Eagles are going through their own problems with their offense, but when you have a guy like Quinnen Williams, what did I say last week? He's going to be a run stuffer. He's going to disrupt the pass game because he's going to just overpower the guard or the center, whoever he's going against. That is the player he is. And no wonder why Jerry Jones wanted him so badly, because it was such a dire need of a position. Like what I took away from the game was the trenches was all Dallas all night. Besides the first quarter, I thought the trenches after the second quarter, Dallas's O-line played fantastic. They're not going to get the credit they deserve. They played absolutely fantastic. Dak got the ball out of his hands quickly. He played fantastic. The defensive line played fantastic. The Eagles are hurting right now. The Eagles are hurting without Lane Johnson, without obviously Jason Kelsey. They're going through a lot of change, and the time was going to come at some point where these guys were going to be aging a little bit. They were going to be, a little bit more injury prone, Lane Johnson as an example. And it's coming to, it's biting them in the ass at the end of the day. Kevin Patullo has not adjusted to what is happening with this Eagles offensive line. I'm not saying they're bad. They're not a bad offensive line, but there's some gears that are being, that are turning, a little bit, and some of them are rusty. But you got to give Eberflus, you got to give Schottenheimer credit for exploiting that. They exploited that Eagles O-line. They made Jalen Hurts uncomfortable. I thought he actually had a decent game, had some completions, had a good touchdown to A.J. Brown. Obviously his rushing touchdowns. But I think overall it came down to heart, and I think Dallas wanted it more. I think George Pickens wanted it more. He played exceptional. CeeDee Lamb had a couple of drops, but they just wanted
still a good game.
Still a good game, yes. I think Dallas just, punched them in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth first, and they punched back, and the Eagles never responded. And you got to give credit to the Cowboys. And Jerry Jones does deserve an apology, because we scrutinized him a lot over the last couple of years for not making that move. And, he waited and he waited. He gets George Pickens for literally like a 3rd or 4th round pick. He goes out and gets Quinnen Williams from the Jets. And, he nailed it. And it's amazing how 2 guys like that can make such an impact on both sides of the ball. So, again, we said it, like, this is a big game, but they could really start rolling off some wins. And I would not be surprised if they do. They got the Chiefs coming up next. Listen, it's not like they're in the top shape right now either. They did just beat the 8-2 Colts. Great game. But they're not an unbeatable team. I think Dallas can do it. They really can. That was a big statement win over the Birds, man. Huge.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic, let's just finish talking about the Cowboys, and then we can get into this Eagles offense and their trials and tribulations here. The Cowboys, everyone knew that this offense was going to be loaded. They were going to come in, they could put up points. You got Dak Prescott, who can sling it with the best of them. Congrats to him, by the way. Just became the leading passer in Cowboys history. So on his way basically to a Hall of Fame gold jacket. That's going to piss off Eagles fans. CeeDee Lamb, elite, top 3 wide receiver, kind of having a tough season, but if you really break it down, I think he's still having a very good season. I think it's just, I don't want to say he's in George Pickens' shadow, but George Pickens going off like this and being the league's 2nd highest receiving player He's averaging 111 yards per game at the moment, which I think second only behind JSN right now. I think he was always going to fall into the shadow, and that's not on CeeDee Lamb. He's getting the top cornerback most weeks. It's going to be tougher. George Pickens is going up against Adoree Jackson. Like, let's be honest, Eagle fans would have cut Adoree Jackson after, I don't know, the first day of preseason if they could have. So when you line up a guy who's really a wide receiver one on any other team, he's going to get cooked. And George Pickens has been spectacular. We're going to end up paying him, or we'll franchise tag him for sure for at least one more year. But that leads me to my next question is, do you believe, because I have my own opinion, do you believe the Cowboys can make the playoffs and will make the playoffs?
Well, but before we get into that, I want to just say about the CeeDee Lamb. Going into the season, we thought that George Pickens would be the shadow to CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb doing what he does, but as CeeDee Lamb, like, can you really be mad? Like, dude, you got to be hyped for your guy. And it doesn't seem like, there's no drama at all, which is great. And, like, that's a big thing, too, because, it shows the type of person that CeeDee Lamb is, and it shows the type of team that Schottenheimer is running, where you got a guy like George Pickens going off. You're not going to have CeeDee Lamb complaining and crying about, oh, he's going crazy and I'm not getting my target share. Dude, they're winning games now, Now they're on a roll. They just had a big win. Like, I just love I love the chemistry I'm seeing with the Dallas Cowboys, and where they're headed. We talked about it last week. Like, bringing a guy like George Pickens in and just going insane. It's fun to watch. It's fun. It's probably fun to watch as the Cowboys players. But okay, your question. Do I think they can rattle off some wins and make the playoffs? I don't know the rest of their schedule. The NFC, I believe I would like to say yes. Based off where the scenarios are right now, with the schedule, who's holding the wild card spot. I can't think off the top of my head, but I mean, go ahead. The way that they're playing, I mean, they're kind of like they're a force to be reckoned with right now. If the defense can just do what they did against Philly, I don't see how they could keep losing games. I really don't. That's the biggest question. It's not the offense. It's, again, the defense. Can they limit teams to 21 points? Can they limit teams to 28 points? Can they get the stop when they need to stop? That's the big question. With Quinn Williams there now, it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference because the defense is going to get rest because the offense is getting first downs. They're not going 3 and out. That was a big thing, too. There was really not many 3 and outs. They went for it on 4th down the first quarter. I don't blame them.
You gotta.
Yeah, you have to. In that scenario, you have to. But no, I mean, dude, I think they can. I think they could sneak in and, like, honestly, watch out if they do. This is where, Dak, if they do make the playoffs, Dak just has to keep doing the same thing. Don't let the spotlight get too big, man. You play for the Dallas Cowboys. The spotlight's already big. You got to go in there. You got to do what you got to do. You got to trust the game plan.
The spotlight's never too big for Dak Prescott. He's been through it. He knows how to handle it. He'll be fine. And if you thought that I didn't sit down and map out the entire scenario for the Dallas Cowboys to make it to the playoffs, you're fucking crazy. I mean, everyone and their mother knew I was going to do this. All right. So I have it literally all planned out, every team, who they play, and how we're going to get into the playoffs as the 7th seed. All right. And now people are going to hate this, but I think we get in and we can lose another game. I think we're going to make it into the playoffs at 10-6-1. And the teams that are going to miss are the Panthers and the Packers. It's going to be those two teams. I haven't been impressed with the Packers, and they're going to have to go up against Detroit this week on Thanksgiving in Detroit. Detroit's not losing that game. Detroit knows exactly where they're at right now. They're at 7-4. They have to win.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go win games. If they want to make this an easy run into the playoffs, they got to go win this game. They got Dallas up next. They got Rams, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago. It's really, can the Lions go get 2 wins against Green Bay and Dallas? And then the rest of the season's nice and easy, because I'm predicting that the Rams aren't going to lose another game the rest of the year. I think they're the strongest team in the NFC. I think they're the strongest team in the NFL at the moment. Right? I know the Patriots have 10 wins. I get that. But I also look at who they've played. And the Rams have done it week in, week out. Matthew Stafford is literally Andrea Pirlo of the NFL. Just keeps getting better the longer he plays. It's unreal.
You're speaking facts. You're speaking straight facts.
Yes, and I think the Bucs, Are they going to take a step back the next couple of weeks without Baker? Maybe he's back for the next week, but I do think they will. I think they're going to get in at 9-8 with the division. I do. And I think the Panthers are going to lose it by just a game. I don't think the Panthers are strong enough still to make it into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Rams going to go to 15-2. They're not losing the rest of the season. Eagles, second strongest team in the NFC. I still believe that. I said it for weeks, even coming into this game. I know they just got curb stomped by the Dallas Cowboys, which everyone and their mother knew was going to happen. But they're going to get into the playoffs at 13-4 at the second seed. Lions, I'm cheering for them to just basically win out. Finish at 12-5. If we do that, we're golden, right? And then we'll have the Bucs in there, like I just said, winning their division. Now, here's where it gets tricky, right? So for me, I think the Seahawks and the 49ers are the two strongest teams coming down the stretch out of the rest of them, between the Bears, Packers, and Panthers in themselves, right? The Seahawks, did Sam Darnold have a down week? Yes, everyone can admit that, right? We saw this last year when he was on Minnesota. He was very strong, and then that one playoff game, he reverted back to Jets Sam Darnold. Fine. That's perfectly fine. He still has JSN. He still has the run game. He still has a good defense. They'll be just fine. They're going to win. All right, so they're going to get in at 12-5. The 49ers, I'm going to be the biggest 49ers fan for the next couple weeks. I need Brock Purdy to get his shit together. We cannot be throwing 3 interceptions against the fucking Panthers and have no ability to get anything going for a whole first half. That's going to stress me out to no end. We need the 49ers to just go win some football games, right? They got Cleveland, Tennessee, Indianapolis, and the big one, Chicago, right? They have to beat Chicago. I need them to beat Chicago. If all of that occurs, Dallas is going to be in the playoffs, because what I'm predicting, we're going to beat Kansas City, right? We're going to go, we're at home, Thanksgiving, we're going to beat Kansas City. The 5-man front that we have is going to stop this Kansas City offense in its tracks. What did they do last week, Mike? What did they have to do to get themselves in this position? They had to run the football.
Run the football.
What have the Dallas Cowboys defense been absolutely money with stopping? Running the football. So go ahead, Kansas City, try and do that. All right, please, I beg you to do that. All right, and then Detroit, I'm writing that down as an L. Detroit's going to be an L, right? Detroit, I know they haven't been strong this year, they've been a little shaky, but they just get it done. Dan Campbell just gets it done. Everyone likes to say Nick Sirianni gets it done. No, Dan Campbell gets it done. Mm-hmm. All right, and then we're going to finish the season with Minnesota, who's absolute dog shit. The Chargers, Washington, New York Giants. Right, those are 4 games that we can definitely win. The Chargers is the toughest one out of the 4, definitely. But like I said, I think we can lose a game, right? And if we go 2-0 over the next couple games, I don't see how we don't get in the playoffs. Because at that point, I'm looking at we might go 6-0 down the stretch. Right? Am I crazy for thinking this? I know people are going to say I'm crazy, but this is all very possible. The Packers have to play Detroit and Chicago twice. They have to play Baltimore. They got to play Minnesota, and they have to play Denver. That's a very tough schedule.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking it. All right, so let me just, I'm going to do this off the top of my head. So, all right, NFC East, we'll probably give it to the Birds. They have the best record, so that's 1. Yeah. NFC North, you got Chicago, you got the Bears, you got Chicago, you got the Lions, and you got Green Bay. I think Green Bay doesn't make it. I just don't think they're fluent enough. I don't think they have the receivers to at least withstand them winning. The defense will, make it close at times, but I just don't believe in them. I just think they're overrated, and I don't think they have it coming down the stretch. I think they don't make the playoffs at all. Granted, that's a hot take, but again, you got the Bears who are sitting at top of the division right now. You have the Lions who, again, are going to get it done. So, in hindsight, someone will win the division out of those 3, and then one of them will get the wild card. I'm going to predict it's the Lions.
I don't think they will, though, Mike. I don't think they'll send 2 teams. When I look at who they have to play, the Packers and the Bears would have to play lights out football against some very tough. They easily, the 2 of them, have probably the toughest run-in to the end of the season in terms of who they play.
The problem is the Bears just keep finding ways to win games. And what are they? What are they? 7-4, 8-3, something like that.
8-3. But can I read you who they play?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I thought this the last couple weeks, and they're winning.
I know, but they play Philly. Then they got Green Bay twice. Cleveland stuck in between those. And then they got the 49ers in Detroit. Like, we're talking about a lot of teams that have to win football games. Like, the Bears aren't going to they'd be lucky to go 3-3, I think.
The one thing about the Bears, though, that I got, that is kind of keeping them afloat is Caleb, Ben Johnson, and their health. I think they're not injured at all. They're healthy. They have a couple guys on defense that are out, but on offense, I mean, they're going to throw up points. And the way they've been looking, I mean, Ben Johnson's got these guys right. And like that's why I can't see them, because honestly, I've probably bet against them. I've bet against them the last like 4 weeks, and they just won 4 straight games. So I'm like, I kind of got to give credit where credit is due. So, and again, I'm high on Detroit. I just can't see, especially where the Bears were at being 8-3. I can't see them not taking one of those spots. The only tricky part about it, the NFC South, they're going to have one division winner. That's it. Listen, I love the Panthers. I love the Bucks. They're not going to have 2 guys come out. 2 teams come out. They're going to have one. It's really the NFC West at the end of the day. The Rams are going to win the division, or the Seahawks. It's going to be one of those 2 teams. And then the Niners are hanging around, but they're another team that are banged up. Like I don't know if they're going to rattle off wins like that. But you need, for the Cowboys' perspective and their position, you need a lot of factors to come into play. I think you need the Packers to lose. In my opinion, the Packers need to lose. They need to be far eliminated from the playoffs. I think, again, and also you probably need Chicago to lose, because if you're looking at it, I think Detroit is going to rattle off more wins than Chicago. If Chicago, goes 3-3 and, they have those 3 wins, the Dallas Cowboys they pretty much have to win out and have that 1 loss. On the West, on the NFC, go ahead.
The thing about the NFC North is they all have to play each other. Like, what are the and if they let's say they all tie, which isn't ever, they won't tie any of these football games, right? So someone's gonna lose. They're gonna put losses up, right? And if I'm looking at the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers in these football games, I'm taking the Lions more than I'm not, and I'm taking the Packers over the Bears more than I'm not, probably at this point, just because of, like, are the Bears really gonna do it? I can't get myself to say that yet. I love the Bears. I tell Lucas all the time. It's kind of sarcastic. But if I'm looking at that division, I can't see them beating the shit out of each other on top of the rest of their schedule and sending 2 teams in. Whereas the NFC West, they don't really play each other. The Rams are far away ahead. They might have, I think it's the 49ers play, Seattle. And that's really the last matchup for the NFC West. I don't see them, they can't knock each other off if they never play.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I see them sending 3 more so than I see the NFC North sending 2.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, in my opinion, I really just see the NFC West, as Rams, Seattle. Those 2 are making it. The Niners, with their record and how they are right now, yes, they can make it. And I know they have an easy schedule, and that's my thing. But it's just, I don't know. If they make the playoffs, they ain't winning anything, in my opinion. Like, it's a tough position for the Cowboys to be in right now. But they just have to take every single game as it's their last. As it's a fight in for the playoffs. They can't afford to lose 2 games. If they lose 2 games, it's probably over.
Oh yeah, no, we can't get in. We can't get in at 9 wins. It won't happen. The way everything else is shaping up, it's impossible.
And the way that they're playing now, listen, I will put my stake on them that they have a slight chance to make it. I don't think Carolina is going to rattle off wins. I think they are going to. I would be shocked. I mean, that's another team to watch out for. But yeah, all in all, a lot of moving parts. You need a lot of help. That's what sucks, is because you got to watch these games, and you got to root for this team. It's not fun. So,
I have a parlay that I'm going to be giving out.
Birds parlay almost hit, by the way, if we would have took all money line, but Eagles folded.
Yeah. Well, Eagles and
all the spreads folded too. Seahawks.
Cardinals won. Yeah. Because Cardinals won, right, in overtime?
No, I think they lost. Yeah, no, they folded too. I thought it was the week. Watch is going to be this week now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have a get the Cowboys in the playoffs parlay that I'll release later. But all right, let's move on here. We gotta talk about this Eagles offense.
Yeah.
We're just having reruns every single week, essentially, where it's either the first half or the first quarter. You know, they come out, they look great, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different team, and they can't score. They can't get their wide receivers the ball. Saquon can't run the ball. And it just is ugly. And you know, I get it. They're what, 8-3? Is that what they are? I think 8-3, 8-2, something like that. You know, I get it. You're winning. And I know Jalen Hurts, he talks in these parables and he's like, you know, if the sun jumps over the moon, then, you know, we'll be good too. And it's like, at some point, we just got to, you know, go play real football. Like, you just got to, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking ridiculous at this point. It's two different teams, and then every single game, Jalen Hurts, because I was like, well, we won. It's like, yeah, you won, barely. You guys looked like shit, though. Like, what's going to happen when you play the Rams? It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. The Rams offense puts together complete games consistently. If you take 2 quarters off, you're screwed.
My thing is, I don't mean to cut you off. Like, we've seen that. Like, are they just pulling like an LA Dodgers in the regular season? Like, are they just going to come out in the playoffs and everything's just going to start clicking? They're going to look like, you know, the 2024 Eagles. Like, I feel like I've seen enough now where there is clearly a problem. And listen, I've said it. Kevin Patullo is definitely the issue. He's one. You know, you can point fingers a lot, and Philly is going to point fingers every single year for the rest of their lives at whoever's not going to make this organization succeed, whether it's the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, or the Eagles. They will always point fingers until everything is correct. Howie Roseman has done everything he possibly can. There's no blame on him whatsoever. Kevin Patullo, this is his problem. He has not adjusted. He has not adjusted. He's calling conservative play calls, and the defenses are now adjusting to it where all he's going to call is short slants and short out routes for Jalen Hurts to make the throws. He's going to have one go ball and one up the seam once in a blue moon. There is no creativity whatsoever with this offense, and that is holding them back because now these defenses are figuring them out. That defense absolutely figured out Philly after the first quarter. You know, granted, they still scored 21 right off the bat, but Saquon's not getting out in space. I don't think it's a Saquon thing. I heard someone, Broad, saying, oh, it's Tank Bigsby's time. Like, really? Really? That is such a bad take. I know you might be going for clicks there, but that is such a bad take. It is not Tank Bigsby's time. It's Saquon just getting a lane. The lanes are not being filled. The defenses are focusing Saquon, where they now have to make Jalen Hurts throw 5 to 10 yard out routes where, yes, you're going to get first downs and yes, you're going to milk the clock, but the formula is just not working right now. And there needs to be change. And granted, he threw the ball more, but I mean, like, it's just not working. Like, nothing is working. There is no creativity. There's no loopholes. Like, you can't find the loopholes in the defenses right now. And that's their issue. It's just saying, let's run the ball to Saquon. He's going to get stopped. Let's run the ball with Saquon. Let's pass the ball. Let's get close to a 4th down. Let's push, and let's just rinse and repeat. Like, it's not working anymore. Like, defenses are adjusting. Something's got to change. Kevin Patullo, they can't fire him unless they want Nick Sirianni calling the plays. I mean, honestly, I feel like that's a better idea in my opinion, but it's bad. It's one of the teams where it's an 8-3 team that is underwhelming and not convincing. That's how I see Philly now.
Yeah. And that's where I look at it, and Eagles fans are going to fucking hate me, dude. They're going to hate me so much. You know,
they already do.
I know. I look at them, and it's like every single game they have, you know, they got Chicago coming up. They got the Chargers up next. Then they go to Vegas. Vegas is absolutely terrible. They got Washington. They got Buffalo, and then they got Washington again. Like, fuck, are the Cowboys going to end up being 1 win back of this team at the end of the year? Are we going to look back at this team and be like, what if? Are they just going to crumble every other year? Remember 2 years ago, halfway through the year, they just fell apart? Like what would happen? What do you think's the first thing that occurs in Philadelphia if they absolutely crumble? They lose 5 of their last, how many games they got? 6. And the fucking Cowboys catch them.
Well, Jalen Hurts will still be a top 3 quarterback to them, but I will place him where he needs to be placed, and that's not top 5. That's not top 5. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of the suck. I'm so.
It's not even top 8. Let's not act like it's even top 8.
And listen, the playoffs will be way different. They'll probably ball out again, knowing them, and then Eagles fans will fucking start humping poles in the streets of Philadelphia. Okay. But I just listen. There again, like when you have a team for so long, you start figuring things out. But is the division out of sight? Yeah, kind of. But like, I'm not saying it's impossible. Like they literally have to have like a Tampa,
yeah, it'd be the ultimate collapse. It'd be horrible.
It would be an absolute collapse for sure. But where would they go from there? OC will definitely be gone. They'll be building the old line again. The defense, they'll probably ramp up the defense even more where they really don't even have to. Will they have conversations about Jalen Hurts? That's a different story. I think possibly. I think they would definitely have conversations about Jalen Hurts. And I know it sounds crazy enough, but if you're only scoring by, getting your ass pushed by your running back and your receiver and you can't throw the ball, I mean, then yeah, maybe there is a conversation to be had. But that's down the road. That's jumping a lot of obstacles before we get there. But I would not be shocked if, they lose out in the playoffs. They lose a game in the playoff. Jalen Hurts goes for 18 for 17 with 110 yards and 1 touchdown, and they start calling for his head. You know how Philly fans are. And I would freaking absolutely love to see them crumble. And I would love to see them start calling for Jalen Hurts' head. Oh, my God. Would that be cinema? Absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. That would be fantastic. We're just rooting on their downfall, which is like the best. But like, if it happens, which, it hasn't in the last 3-4 years, but man, would that be funny to watch.
It would. Honestly, I don't even care if they lose the division. I just think it'd be funny if they went into the playoffs like losing 5. Remember how Eagles fans were going to the playoffs when I think they played Baker and the Bucks,
and they lost.
And they went into that game, and Eagles fans were like, "Please just end the season." Think about that. You're in the playoffs, and everyone's like, "Please, we can't do it anymore. I can't take it. Please, let's just quit. Let's all go watch the Philadelphia Flyers lose every game." That's where we were at 2 years ago, and this team is like just as annoying to Eagles fans as that year. So I'm excited for this finish.
I love when it's like, they lose a game and they're like, fire everyone. Oh my God, season's over. They're 8-3. Bro, you have come be a Jets fan. I'll show you how to deal with this shit. I will show you. It's unbelievable seeing fire them all. We're literally 5 games over 500. Oh, believe me, none of you guys would last. None of you would last doing what I do. Fuck no.
No, and I mean, George Pickens commented on a post today. I don't know if you saw this, but he was just like, Philadelphia is so soft, you're only known for making sandwiches or something. Like, I love this guy. I love him. We got to sign him. You
have to sign him, dude. Sign him to a 10-year deal, bro. Don't matter.
Yeah, honestly. Give him as many shiesties as he wants.
Yep.
All right, let's move on here. Do you have anything else you want to get into?
Not really. I was going to say, let's hit the mortals.
I wanted to get into one thing before we get to the mortals, because I know we were going to talk about the NFC North, but I think we kind of hit that when we talked about the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you about the AFC, because we haven't really had a moment to talk about them. It's just been kind of straightforward in the AFC for a number of years. Seemed like it was going to be fairly straightforward what was going to happen even this year. But now we got Buffalo in the final playoff spot. Houston's a game out. They've kind of come alive the last few weeks. You got Kansas City's in 10th. You got Miami in 11th. Bengals are in 12th. Joe Burrow's coming back. There's not a lot of teams I'm confident in when I look at this. Like, even the Colts. Like, do I think the Colts can go win a Super Bowl against some of these NFC teams? Probably not. Is Denver going to do it? Maybe, but I don't see them beating an LA Rams or Lions. New England, we were calling them fool's gold last week, and they're 10-2. So I look at this, and I think at 6-5, the Ravens are the best AFC team in the league. Is that crazy to think?
It always Lamar comes Jackson. Back to Baltimore, doesn't it?
Mike, Lamar Jackson is 5. I think is it 6-1 or something as the starter, and they're 0-4 or 0-5 without him. Like, what are we talking about? Lamar Jackson is the owner of Baltimore. He's the QB1 of Baltimore. He owns the AFC at the moment. Like, what more do we have to see? Like, I think Baltimore at 6-5 are going to be the best AFC team going into the playoffs.
This is the strangest year the AFC has seen since, the Mahomes and the Josh Allen era and the Lamar era. There is, and you know what? We kind of called it in a way where we did say Buffalo was going to be good. We said, the Patriots, depending on Drake May, keep an eye out on them. I was right about Denver. That's for sure. They're making the stamp. The Colts kind of came out of nowhere. We had thoughts about them. We didn't think it'd be this much of a jump. Tides are turning. Houston's defense is absolutely legit. Number one in the league. They're fantastic. Davis Mills is looking great. He's going to be a guy that, is probably going to be a starter on the team next year. I don't know, man. It's just a lot of revolving doors with this conference right now. I think it's kind of hard to. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe Baltimore is going to be that team that. But like, I still see the same glimpses of Baltimore as last year. That's it. Like that Jets game, bro. That the Jets should not have hung around that long. I'm sorry. Like the defense put that Baltimore offense in a rut, and they still got the win. But if you actually watch the game, like it wasn't really appealing to me. And that's been their problem is they just let teams hanging around and then they get unlucky. Well, not unlucky, but they let go of a lead and a team beats them. And it's probably going to catch up to them in the playoffs. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that. But oh my heavens, look at that. You have 1,694 new likes on your reel. Woo!
Jesus Christ. But all right, speaking of what you just said though, like Lamar Jackson's just coming back. I know he played a few weeks now, but he's still going to he's going to take time to get back into the groove. He missed almost over a month and a half of NFL football. Like it's going to take him time to really get back into the groove. I know they're a little unhealthy around their whole team right now. As we got 7 weeks left, you got to think they get healthy for the playoffs. You brought it up before about the Eagles. Are they the Dodgers? The Dodgers was a little different. They were hiding guys in the rafters and then brought them out for the playoffs. And I think that's what the Ravens are going to do. They're going to show up to the playoffs as a 2 or 3 seed, and they're just going to run the table. Like, yeah, let's go to New England. Let's go to New England in the middle of January. Let it snow. Lamar Jackson, that run game is going to run you over. I love Travion Henderson. I love Drake May. But I'll take the Ravens all day over them. And I think that when we get to playoff time, we're going to have this conversation again. And I'm going to probably repeat myself. But Lamar Jackson is one of the most electric players in the league. When he has the ball in his hands, anything's possible. I think that Baltimore's going to get it done. I think this is the year they make it to the Super Bowl.
I think if I had to choose right now who's going to be a top contender in the AFC, I'm going to give you 2 teams here. I'm going to say the Broncos, dude. Like, I know the offense isn't the prettiest, but that's another team that their defense is just so absolutely just hovering around you at all times. And I think Bo Nix I think Bo Nix is at the point in his career now. What is he, a second or third year player? I think he's third year. I just think he's ready. I think he's ready. I think him having Ingram, having Cortland Sutton, having Troy Franklin, I just think Sean Payton's got those guys right. And I know it's not the prettiest, but I really think they are a team to be reckoned with. And I also feel like Buffalo is still hanging around. And for some reason, I had a conversation with my buddy Dom, and he was kind of going against Josh Allen, and like I felt, I was kind of making a lot of excuses for Josh Allen. And when I look back at it now, I'm doing that because I know how good of an athlete and good of a quarterback he is. And I feel like Buffalo really hasn't set him up for success in a way, but he's just that good of a quarterback where he can't keep losing anymore. He knows deep down he's got to get the monkey off his shoulder, and he's got to go out there and go get wins. If he has to do it himself, so be it. He's got James Cook. Keon Coleman needs to grow up, and he needs to show up to freaking Sunday meetings. I just can't, I know back then I said the Super Bowl window is closed, but I can't count out the quarterback. I can't count out the experience. The Ravens, I'd probably put my number 3 because I think they could also run the table. The Chiefs, I don't know what to make of them. I really don't. I don't know. I think the closer we get to the end of the season, I feel like we'll be able to decide, but I don't know. I really don't.
I think the Chiefs are dead in the water. Like I said earlier, I think they lose on Thursday against Dallas. And I think, like you said, Josh Allen's fantastic. He's a top 3 quarterback in this league at all times, no matter who's on his team, no matter where he's at. My thing with Buffalo and why I don't see them taking that step and getting to a Super Bowl is because they don't invest enough in his weapons. Like, I know Khalil Shakir is great, but he's like 4 foot nothing. And then you got Joshua Palmer and Terrell Shavers, and Keon Coleman, Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel, McCole Hardman.
Gabe Davis is the best receiver right now, by the way.
Yeah, sure. We could say that. But what are we doing?
It's a bad thing.
It's not a good thing to have him as your best wide receiver. We're talking about one of the most elite quarterbacks the league's seen. And we're never going to get, like, ever since Stephon Diggs left, we haven't given him an elite wide receiver. Like, and we expect to win a Super Bowl? Brother, you guys are kicking this whole roster wide left every single year. We got to figure it out if we're going to get Buffalo to the Super Bowl. And that's why I'm out on them. I think they're going to make the playoffs still. Like 100%. They'll be either a 6 or 7 seed because Patriots look like they're going to be the 1 seed going into this thing. But I think they'll be a 6 or 7 seed, and yeah, they might win a game. But I think when they get to the next round, we could see them get bounced pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's strange, because we've had this conversation before where we compared conferences, and at one point the AFC was clearly the top dog of the conference, but it's switched. The NFC is strong as shit. Rams, Bears, Lions, Eagles. I'll throw the Cowboys in there. The Seahawks, the Niners are still hanging around. Like, there is just a lot of powerhouses around that conference right now, and you can see the solidification with these teams and where they stand, and like that they're going to be a powerhouse in the playoffs. So it's going to be fun to watch. I think those games are going to be so fun to watch, but the AFC is real intriguing. Seeing that playoff picture, how it's going to wind up. Is Houston going to get the last spot? Are the Jags going to make a run for it? Are the Chargers? We're not even talking about the Chargers, let alone them. They're still kind of hanging around too.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are locked in. I don't see them missing the playoffs, but yeah, they're a good team too. They don't do it for me. I don't know what it is. They just don't do it for me.
They're just kind of there. Yeah, I know that. But they shouldn't be there because they're pretty good, but it's weird. I don't know. It's going to be fun to watch like over the next coming weeks because all those teams got to play for wins. Like, it's not like they can afford a loss.
Yeah. Dude, you look like a mad scientist right now. This is wild.
Last night, yeah, my hair's getting wild, dude. Last night killed me, man. It absolutely killed me. It was just insanity at its finest. I had my conductor up with me throwing up blood. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Oh my God. Yeah, I think he's taking off today. I'm like, dude, you might have to take off tomorrow, man.
Oh God. All right. Sick. All right, let's get into the mortals. So you went
3-0, baby.
3-0. That was well done. Good week for you. I went 1-1, and then obviously the parlay hit. So we all got the parlay pick right. I believe Luke went. Was he 0-2?
Luke had the Jags. He took the Ravens. They did not cover. And then he took oh my God.
Oh, he missed it by a half point.
Missed the
so
Ravens
he went
by a half point.
Yep, so he's out. So we got to get a new guest pick in. Yeah, unfortunate. Hey, it was a great run from Luke. He made it 3 weeks. So
yeah, he did great. I got to give him credit. He gave us some wins.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you to Luke. Yeah, no, Mike, you went 3-0, so I'm going to give you the floor here. You can make the first pick.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to think twice about this. You already covered it. We talked about Detroit and how good they were, and they need the wins against an underwhelming Green Bay team. Take 2.5. Yeah, give me Detroit. Give me Detroit 2.5. I'm not going to think twice about that. If they don't win, then credit to Green Bay, but I'm not thinking twice about that spread. I want Detroit minus 2.5.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like that pick a lot. We just spoke about it for how long?
You literally took the words right out of my mouth. And I'm not even going to reiterate it even earlier on in the show, but yeah, I'm all on Detroit there.
All right. So my pick's going to be the Los Angeles Rams. They're coming off a very good win, dominant win. And they're going to go across the country to sunny Carolina, play against the Panthers. The line's set at 10.5 right now. I'm going to take that. I think they're just too strong. I think that they win this probably by 17-20.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So you took the Rams. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then over-unders.
Yeah, I got one. So I really like this one a lot. And it's just one of those games that people are going to forget about. Give me the Jets and the Falcons over 39.5. It's one of those, you just don't think much of it. And I just think it's going to be a massive over game. I think it's going to be a big defensive game for the Jets. And I think they're actually going to score some points. I don't know, but give me the over in that at home. It's going to be a pointless win. 39.5, I'll take it.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to go to Thanksgiving as well with one of my picks. Kansas City and the Dallas Cowboys. The line's set at 52.5. Dallas hits this probably 9 times out of 10. But I think I'm going to take the under. Like I said earlier, I think the Chiefs' run game is going to get stopped by this 5-man front by Dallas. I think we're going to win this football game. I'm just going to flat out say it. We're going to win this football game, but it's going to come down to us basically keeping the Chiefs under 24 points. And if we do that, I think this under hits.
Okay.
That's my pick.
Interesting. No, I like that, actually.
It's my first under of the season.
Yeah, under. Yeah, I'm going back to the overs. Is bad news. But
all right, and then obviously we'll get the guest picks out after the show. So when this comes out, hopefully we'll have them, and they'll be on your screen. Mike, let's give them the money line picks for the parlay, and then we can head on out of here.
I'm going to stay in Detroit. I'm going to take the Lions. I hate doubling up like this, but I thought about doubling up with the Texans as the money line pick too. I was going to take the under in that game. Did I take? No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah, give me Detroit, dude. They got to make a statement right off the bat. Josh Jacobs coming off an injury. The receivers are all banged up still. I think Detroit's rolling. Listen, very, very sketchy game against the Giants. Dan Campbell's going to get him right. Give me Detroit to win.
So that changes mine. I'm actually going to take the Philadelphia Eagles here. And here's why. It's kind of a work in my favor pick because if they beat the Bears, it's good for the Cowboys. So I'm going to actually ride with the Eagles here on Black Friday. Let's go kick the shit out of the Bears. We're going home too for Philadelphia. Home game. So I like those picks. I like where we're at there. We got 3 on Thanksgiving. Could possibly be more depending on what the guest says. But no, I really like those a lot. And real quick, I almost forgot about this. I want to give you the Cowboys make the playoffs parlay.
Go ahead.
All right. So we're going to starts on Thanksgiving. Starts on Thanksgiving. We will be taking the Lions money line. We will be taking the Eagles on Black Friday. We're going to be taking the Browns. Shedeur Sanders starting quarterback. Looked very good against the Raiders. Playing against the 49ers, now back at home. First start, that place is going to be rocking. Give me Cleveland. And then we're going to be taking the Rams, obviously. Have to take the Rams. That was my moral. I think they dominate that game. And then we're also going to take the Vikings over Seattle. All right. Now, 9 has taken a lot of heat the last couple of days.
He's going to be out. I think he's on IR.
He possibly is going to be out, which means someone else is going to be playing quarterback, which is good for everybody.
Mr. Carson.
I don't know. Isn't he on IR too? Oh, no, my lights are flickering. This is a good end to the show. Regardless, we're taking the Vikings over Seattle, in Seattle at plus 500. This is going to be plus 4,602. Go ahead, throw 25 on that and win yourself a quick grand for Thanksgiving. Keep in mind, be responsible. Probably not going to hit. Everything's probably going to go against Dallas this week. So, but that's what we're riding with.
Yeah, real quick, the more I think about that Lions game, I just pray it's not a trap. I'm it's too low and it's too good to be true, but I'm going to fall for it. I just don't see Green Bay making a statement. I really don't.
But Mike, is it wild to think that this is kind of a bounce back game for Detroit? Let's not act like they looked awesome last game.
I just
No.
listen. Jahmyr Gibbs is so elite, and Jared Goff. Thursday night he's been in this position before. How are you going to stop Jahmyr Gibbs? How are you? How is Green Bay going to stop that guy?
Yeah.
So and listen, you can stop Green Bay. Get to the quarterback. You could do it. We got Aiden Hutchinson. We. Yeah. I don't know. Everything just looks too good to not take them. Everything's just kind of falling into place. It's just I have to.
Yeah.
So boss, I went 3-0 last week. I could salvage this. Whatever.
Well, good. I feel like we jumped around the league a good bit. I feel like that was a good show. Remember, everyone, go ahead and throw a comment down there. Just throw a little comment down there in the comment section. Let's start the debates. Let us know who you think is going to make the playoffs. And then while you're down there in the comments arguing with other people, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because Mike and I would be very appreciative of it. Let's hit 500. We got 1 month till Christmas. That's all we want to do is hit 500. Let's hit 500. We're almost there. Yeah, let's do this thing. Like, comment, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Sub.
Help us out.
Sub.
We put out good content. Subscribe.
Sub.
We know our shit.
Sub.
Sub.
All right, let's get out of here. Sub. You ready to go, Mike? Sub.
Yes, sir, man. Good episode, Muller. Well done.
Good. Sub. See you guys.